3 hours ago, Jungkook spoke once and Taehyung was shaken broken heart, Taekook moment. This video reflects my personal opinion and interpretation. It is made for entertainment purposes only and does not represent confirmed facts. Without any announcement, without any warning, this moment quietly shook the global scene. Welcome to V Effect. What really happened just 3 hours ago to Jungkook's one sentence was able to shake Taehyung emotionally, make fans speechless, and force the world to ask, has Taekook's relationship so far never been as simple as we thought? 3 hours ago. Not yesterday. Not last week. It's not just old rumors that are being rekindled. 3 hours ago, a confession came out, brief but heavy, calm but striking, and from that moment on, the BTS fandom universe seemed to stop breathing. Jungkook, who has been known to be the most careful in keeping his word, most often hiding his feelings behind smiles and laughter, suddenly opened a small gap that actually revealed a huge emotional space. The sentence is not pronounced with shouts. It is not framed with excessive drama, but precisely because of its simplicity, the effect becomes multiple. Fans were shocked. Analysts were silent. And one name instantly became the center of that emotional vortex: Kim Taehyung. Since the beginning of BTS's debut, the relationship between Jungkook and Taehyung has always been a magnet for attention. There is something that is difficult to explain with ordinary logic. They grew up together under the cruel pressures of the industry, sharing rooms, dreams, fears, and victories. But what happened 3 hours ago is not just a nostalgic flashback. It's a contemporary, actual moment, and feels too real to ignore. The question now is no longer whether Taekook is close, but how close it really is and why Jungkook chose this moment to speak. Jungkook's words do not stand alone. It appears in a meaningful context. The tone of his voice, the pauses in his breathing, even the seemingly simple choice of words opened up a wide space for interpretation. In the study of emotional communication, this kind of statement is often referred to as controlled disclosure, a deliberate but restricted form of disclosure, as if the speaker wants to be honest without fully opening the curtain. Jungkook didn't say it all, but what he did say was more than enough to make fans wonder to whom exactly those feelings were directed, and why Taehyung was referred to in such a personal way. The reaction of the fans was immediate. Within minutes, Jungkook and Taehyung's keywords were dominating global searches. Not because of the empty sensation, but because the public felt that something was different this time. There was no joking tone as usual. There was no closing laughter. There is only a short silence after the sentence is said, the silence that feels the noisiest. In the psychology of public figures' communication, silence often speaks more than 1,000 words, and that's how fans around the world feel. Taehyung himself, although he did not immediately give a verbal response, showed no less interesting reaction. His body language, facial expressions, and the way he turned his eyes became the subject of in-depth analysis. Academics who research micro-expressions say that this kind of nonverbal response often arises when a person is faced with an emotional disclosure that he did not fully expect, although he may have felt for a long time. Was Taehyung surprised? Or is it just overwhelmed? Or could this be a tacit confirmation of something that has been around for a long time? Taekook's history is full of layers. From small backstage moments to big interactions on stage, there is always a common thread connecting the two. But the Korean entertainment industry, with all its unwritten regulations, demands a clear boundary between the personal and the public. Jungkook has always been known to adhere to that limit. So when he chose to step a little beyond the line, the public could not help but ask, what makes him brave now? Some observers consider that BTS's maturity phase after various global achievements has changed their internal dynamics. They are no longer trainees who have to hide every emotion for the sake of image. They are mature artists who begin to negotiate personal identity with public expectations. In this context, Jungkook's confession can be read as a form of reclaiming agency, an attempt to take back control of his own narrative. But why Taehyung? Why did that name come up at such an important time? This question brings us to the unique emotional dynamic between the two. Jungkook is often referred to as the center of BTS's stability, while Taehyung is known as a sensitive artistic soul. When these two characters interact, what is created is not just an ordinary friendship, but a complementary emotional resonance. Many longtime fans noticed that Jungkook often showed the most honest version of himself when he was with Taehyung. as if there was a safe space that could only be created by the presence of a certain person. But the disclosure of feelings 3 hours ago changed all that from mere observation to an open question. Is this just a very deep expression of friendship? Or is there another layer of emotion that has been disguised by laughter and jokes? The international media began to raise the issue cautiously, using ambiguous but meaningful language. No one dared to conclude, but all agreed. This is not an ordinary moment. What made the situation even more emotional was the army's response. Many admitted that they had goosebumps, cried, and even felt like they were witnessing a small but significant historical moment. For the fandom that has grown with BTS for more than a decade, every little change feels personal. Jungkook is not just an idol, he is a symbol of a joint journey. When he talks about feelings, it's as if he also invites fans into his personal space, even if only briefly. Taehyung, on the other hand, has always been an expressive figure in art but secretive in inner affairs. If Jungkook is the voice that finally speaks, Taehyung is the silence that is full of meaning. Many are waiting for one sentence from him, one gesture, one upload, whatever could be a clue. But until now there was only silence, which only strengthened speculation. In popular culture studies, such a moment is often referred to as a liminal moment, a threshold point at which the old meaning is no longer enough, but the new meaning has not yet been fully formed. Fans are somewhere between hope and anxiety, between curiosity and fear. Whatever happens after this will change the way Taekook is understood, whether as a symbol of the deepest friendship or something more complex. What is clear is that Jungkook did not speak without reason. Every word that came out of it had passed through long consideration. He knows the impact. He knew the reaction that would come. And precisely because of that, this confession feels so heavy. This is not empty spontaneity, but rather a mature emotional decision. For Taehyung, this moment might be a mirror reflecting back all their journeys together. From the dreamy teenager to the grown man who now stands on top of the world. Will there be any official clarification? Will HYB speak up? Or will everything be left hanging, becoming a space of interpretation for fans? BTS's history shows that not all questions need to be answered explicitly. Sometimes, obscurity is just part of the beauty of their narrative. But one thing is undeniable. 3 hours ago, something has changed. Taekook is no longer just a dynamic that can be read from old video cuts or funny moments on variety shows. He is now the subject of serious, emotional, even academic discussions about how idols negotiate feelings in the public sphere. Jungkook had opened a small door, and although he had not stepped fully, the light coming out of the gap was enough to illuminate many old questions. Tonight, millions of fans will probably sleep with their minds full. Repeat that phrase again. Analyze the tone of voice. Reread Taehyung's expression. And wonder, not with cheap gossip but with empathy. What is it like to express feelings in a world that is always watching? How does it feel to be Jungkook, and how does it feel to be Taehyung right after that confession? One thing is certain. This is not the end of the story. It's a new chapter that begins with one surprising question, one brief confession, and one relationship that is now viewed with different eyes. And the world, like ARMY, can only wait with bated breath to see what will happen to Taehyung next.